events and services to support you through time here. And go to the next slide. First of all, welcome to Carleton. So before we get started, I just wanted to let everyone know that this presentation is for the students in the computer science program and the Bachelor of Cybersecurity program. If you're in the data science program, you should reach out to the undergraduate advisors for help. And this session will also be recorded and posted to the School of Computer Science website for anyone who's not able to attend. So to get started, my name is Sarah, and I'll let everyone else introduce themselves.
I'm Riley. I'm a fourth year computer science student concentrating in cybersecurity. And I'll be your director of academics for this year.
Hey, I'm Jack. I'm also heading into my fourth year, currently in the AI ML stream. And Jennifer, would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Carleton. I'm Jennifer, one of the undergrad advisors.
Okay. First, here's some useful links. Like we have the Carleton Computer Science Society Discord. This is a great place to make friends and connect with upper year students, as well as stay informed on any events and services that we're providing. We also have our Computer Science Society website and some additional resources like the registration steps and some registration guides for different programs. So for today's agenda, this presentation is going to take about 30 minutes. We're going to go over courses, scheduling, some additional information, and the student panel where we can do our Q&A is going to take about 60 minutes. So for any additional registration assistance, you can reach out to the undergraduate advisors. These are their emails posted below. We have the computer science, cybersecurity, and the first year one. And you can also reach out to the registration assistance team that Carleton provides for general registration help. So some important dates to know are academic and financial deadlines. So July 6th, which is coming up, is the fall and winter course registration starts for incoming students. August 25th is when the fall payment deadline happens, and that's when interest will start accruing. And September 30th is the last day to withdraw from full fall term and winter term courses with a full fee adjustment. So it's important to know the difference between an academic versus a financial withdrawal. So an academic withdrawal allows you to drop a course after the financial refund period has passed. This protects your CGPA from a failing grade, and WDN will be the grade on your transcript. However, no fees are reimbursed. Whereas with a financial withdrawal, it's completely wiped from your transcript, and a fee adjustment based on dropped courses will happen. Now let's get into some courses. So you have your lectures and you have your tutorial labs when choosing your courses. Lectures are the main part where professors will teach you. This is where your midterms are usually held, so you should make sure you're able to make to your schedule. Your courses will have tutorials or labs, and these are like extra classes or workshops that are typically conducted by your TAs to help you better understand the course. Usually this is when quizzes will happen. And when you register for a lecture course that has a tutorial, you must register for one of the tutorials in that same section as your lecture. So some frequently asked questions we get about course registration is how much each course is worth. Usually one course lasts one term, which is 4 months, and is 0.5 credits. However, some courses will be worth 1 credit and take up more time, which is either 2 terms or double the lecture time in 1 term. Should you register for both fall and winter terms? Yes, please do that. Can you register for 2000 plus level courses, which is the second year level? You can, if it is permitted, you can check the requirements on each course. How many first year level credits can you take for your entire program? And that is a maximum of 7 credits. Can you take less than 5 courses? You can, but you should read through the reduced course load and the minimum required course load for your fall and winter term. So these are just some examples of some first year comp sci courses. 1405 and 1406 are the 2 intro courses. So 1405, you'll be doing intro to comp sci with Python. 1406 is with Java. This is more about object-oriented programming. Discrete structures is a little different. That's comp 1805, and this is with logic and proof techniques. 1405 and 1406Z is the accelerated course for students in the Shopify Dev Degree program or the Bachelor of Cybersecurity program. However, Bachelor of Computer Science programs with an admit average of 90% or more can submit a registration override request on Carleton Central to register with space permitting. Accelerated means it's just the same contents, but it's condensed into a 6-week course, or 6 weeks for each course. So the first part of the course is in Python, and then the second part is in Java. These are some of the required second-year courses. This is when you start to branch out. For example, you have Comp 2401, which is Intro to Systems Programming. This deals with memory management, pointers, process management in C. And you have 2402, which is Abstract Data Structures. This is where you learn about stacks and queues and lists. We have Intro to Software Engineering, which is Object-Oriented Software Development in C++, as well as web applications in HTML, CSS, JavaScript. 2804 is Discrete Structures 2. This is continuing Discrete Structures 1 with counting, probability, recurrence relations. STAT 2507 is Intro to Stat Modeling with random variables, probability distributions, distribution of sample means, and so on. These are some required second-year courses for the Bachelor of Cybersecurity. We have 2109, which is Intro to Security and Privacy, where you learn about internet security and privacy, history of cryptography, government surveillance, ethics, and cybercrimes. And then we have CSEC 2108, which is Cryptography, Algorithms, and Protocols, which is about block ciphers, public key encryptions, hash functions, digital signatures, post-quantum, and more. However, computer science students can't take CSEC or data courses. You also need to take some math courses. The two first-year math courses are Calculus 1, which is Math 1007. This is very similar to calculus in high school. You go over limits, derivatives, differentiation. The second math course is 1104, which is linear algebra. This is system of linear equations, matrix, algebra, vectors, all that. However, certain minors may require a different math course, for example, a physics minor. But when asking about a minor, you should ask that minor's department, and certain upper year electives may also require a different math course. Next, you have to learn how to check your prerequisites. So the undergraduate calendar provides a list of courses and its prerequisites. You can check the prerequisites on Carleton Central while building your course schedule, and always check the most recent calendar for prerequisites and preclusions, regardless of the calendar year your program is under. There are also registration override requests. These are needed when there are errors on your registration for when you don't fit the criteria or it's restricted by a course or elaborate tutorial. You can submit a registration override request in Carleton Central. We'll have a video posted on a quick guided tutorial on how to do that. But it's important to make sure that you check your schedule and submit the request as soon as possible because it's not guaranteed to be approved. So you should plan out alternate sections or courses. Continuing with the registration override request. So the process to submitting it is when you attempt to register for a course and then you'll get an error. So you have to submit a request through Carleton Central. If it's approved, you'll receive an email to your CMail account and there will be a deadline by which you can register in that course. For comp courses, it's usually 3 days. However, if you've missed the window for an override request, you'll need to resubmit it and there's no guarantee that there'll be space in the course after you resubmit. And now Riley's going to talk about scheduling.
All right. Hello, everybody. So we're going to talk a bit about scheduling. So before we get into that, I just want to point out that these registration guides exist. So computer science, cybersecurity, data science. If I click on one of these guys and I go over here and I get a full guide to registering for my program. This is the one for computer science. If I want to do cybersecurity, same sort of thing. So if you need any help, these pages will have what you need. So, useful thing if you're in the Bachelor of Cybersecurity program. Oh, that's not good.
I can grab the link.
Really? Yeah, so this was basically a course map that would show you all of the courses that you take for each year in the Bachelor of Cybersecurity program. Um, we will grab that, but it's very useful. The Bachelor of Data Science has something similar to that where you can see, okay, what courses do I take in first year, and then what courses do I take in second year? And it kind of has a roadmap for you to follow. Okay, yeah. And with that, in the scheduling section, we are going to go over 7 different things. And the first thing is, so when you're building your timetable, a very good thing to keep in mind is to select pretty much all the mandatory courses that you need to take in all of their different time slots. So if you're taking Comp 1405, there'd probably be 3 different sections and maybe 6 different tutorial sections. You just want to add them all to your schedule, and then your schedule is going to look something like this. And then that way you'll be able to visually see, okay, what makes the most sense for my schedule in relation to the other courses that I'm taking. Course syllabus and location. So when you're on Carleton Central and you're going to add courses to your timetable, you'll see each course has a little card like this. And if we read it, we can see, okay, here's the course code, here's the course name, here's the section, here is the dates. So you'll see, okay, this is on Tuesday and Thursday from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. It'll tell you the building, whether that'll be online or somewhere on campus. And it'll tell you if it's in person only, online only, or a mix of in person online, so a hybrid course. That's important to keep in mind. Okay. And so another piece is usually the earliest classes we have running start at 8:30. And if you take an 8:30 class, you're gonna have to get up at like 6 or however early you get up. And for a lot of students, they might think they can take 8:30 classes, but then they register for one and they end up like not going to half the lectures. So it's very important that you make sure you keep that in mind. So if you're a morning person, then by all means, 8:30 classes are great. But if you're more of a night owl and you stay up late, maybe it's not such a good idea to take a class really early in the morning. So lunchtime, another thing, see this Friday schedule here? Don't have a schedule like this because you're leaving no time for yourself to take a break or eat. I mean, this is like what? It's like 8 hours straight of lectures and tutorials. That's probably will never happen. That's not realistic. But just make sure like you leave some time around lunchtime. Like this Monday schedule here is perfect because you have your you have your calculus class and then you have your computer science tutorial and then you have what is it, an hour and a half here to go take a break, eat, do whatever, and then you just have a tutorial. Time tickets. So on Carleton Central, I'll show a demonstration later, but you can see what sort of time ticket you're assigned. So I think it's, if you're an incoming student, it's very early July. And so that's when you're going to be able to actually register in your courses. So right now you can build your timetable, but you won't be able to actually register until your time ticket comes through. So yeah, and so if you have a later time ticket and it's a completely random chance, it's not based on anything, like you'll get a time ticket just whenever. And if you have a late one, there's a chance that you might be on a wait list, especially for a course that you really want to take. That's okay, but you should always be prepared to have some sort of alternative schedule in case that happens. Yeah, and then so when you're in a wait list, you'll receive an email if there's enough room, and then you'll have 24 hours to register once you receive that email. So definitely check your email a lot during the registration process. Another thing is rate my prof. So if you're deciding what courses to take, and there's a whole bunch of different professors, you never knew their names, a good strategy is to go, rate my prof. Like, does this professor post all of their lectures online, for example? That's probably something you could find on Rate My Prof. But always take that stuff with a grain of salt just because, students, it's a free form. Anybody can post anything on there. So just keep that in mind. And also, these old course outlines are very useful to go through. So if I go here, I can find old course lines for anything. So comp courses, undergrad, fall, maybe I want 2025. Then you get all of these courses that were previously offered, and you can download the outline, you can read it, and you can see, okay, does that course, would I want to take a course like that? Because a lot of these professors, they teach the same courses, usually year to year. All right, so one last piece of advice here is that no schedule is perfect. So unfortunately, you have no control over when these classes are scheduled, but you do have control in which, well, sort of control in which sections you take. So this was actually my first year schedule in 2022. So you see I had some 8:30 classes here, but luckily I was able to leave Friday free. And I recommend doing that if you're able to, because a lot of university is like you're in lectures. Your lectures are only usually an hour and a half long, but most of your time working is spent at home or in the library outside of the classroom. So having a full day Friday where you have no lectures is great because then you can spend that day studying, focus studying. But you might not have the perfect schedule. Just keep that in mind. Oh yeah, so I'm gonna bring this one over to Jack to finish.
Do you want to go through the demonstration in Carleton Central first?
Yes, I forgot I was gonna do that. Okay. So when you log into Carleton 360, you'll see a screen like this. You're gonna want to hit this Carleton Central button. And then you'll see a very big menu like this. You just want to head down to the registration section and then this line here. So you'll hit getting started. And this is how you're going to actually find your time ticket. So we're going to select a term. So everybody will be registering for fall 2026 and we'll hit submit. And you'll see this is my actual time ticket. It's on July 10th at 9:30 a.m. So that's the exact time that I'm actually going to be able to go into my schedule and hit proceed to registration and register for my courses. So I'll walk through that now just quickly. So if you go to build your timetable and registration, I select the term I want fall. You'll also make one for winter as well, but you have to do it term at a time. So I'm going to go to fall. You're going to hit new worksheet and we're going to hit view worksheet. And this is what the page looks like. You have all the courses that you add will be here. This button is what you click when your time ticket opens and you want to register. Down here will be your schedule once you add some courses. So if you go up to this section and we see return to search, we're going to hit that button and you'll be led to this page. And this is where you're going to search for all of your courses. So you'll see this subject drop down here. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to look for computer science. Let's say I want to register in Comp 1405. So I'm going to hit enter. And now you can see this looks familiar from the presentation. We're going to go down. So we don't want to register in Comp 1005. We want to register in 1405. Here. So this will be Comp 1405, Section A with Professor Collier. And we can see that it's on Monday and Wednesday from 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. So if you're a morning person, by all means, add this course. And most courses will have tutorials. So you'll have to take this A1 section. There doesn't seem to be another tutorial section for this section, so you'll have to take this one if you register in section A. So yeah, I'll register there. And I'll hit proceed to worksheet. Then we'll be able to scroll down and you'll see, okay, so this is what my schedule looks like so far with only the one course. And actually, if I go to the next week, oh, I guess the tutorial is asynchronous. Yeah, online tutorial. Okay, cool. So yeah, when you have all your courses ready and your time ticket comes along, you're going to hit this proceed to registration, and then it'll bring you to a page where you can just hit register and it'll register for you automatically. But yeah.
All right.
Cool.
I'm just going to cover some additional information that's relevant to course registration before we move on to the Q&A panel. So the first thing is you want to make sure that you bookmark Carleton's academic calendar because this will have pretty much all of the important deadlines that you want to keep in mind. So for example, when we have the term breaks and holidays, the deadlines for registration, when you have your exams and stuff like that. So you'll most likely be visiting this page a lot, so keep the link on hand. If you're in the Bachelor of Computer Science program, a few additional options you can consider while scheduling your courses are you should start with the first year registration guide that we linked a bit earlier, but you can make some potential changes to it if you want. So, for example, the two math courses can technically be taken in any order. You don't need to take them in a specific term. You can also take both of them in the same term if you want, but that will, of course, be a heavier workload, so keep that in mind. You can choose to take Comp 1805 in the fall term instead of the winter term, if that works better for your schedule. Um, you can also consider taking Stat 2507 or a second year maths course once you've taken its first year prerequisite in your first year if you just want to get some more of your required courses done early. But yeah, most of these changes will increase your workload. So if you prefer to have a more balanced first year, then you may just want to stick to the registration guide. So this here is a quick visualization of how the different courses connect to each other in terms of prerequisites for our core computer science courses. Uh, you should always use the actual undergraduate calendar with the description of all the courses as like the actual source of truth for requirements, but this is a quick visualization for which courses are the best ones to take early. So for example, you can see that Comp 2401 and 2402 are connected to most upper year courses, so it's good to get those ones done early. And pretty much everything is blocked by 1405 and 1406, so you definitely want to get those done in your first year. And you also need a minimum grade of C minus in a few of these courses, so any requirements like that um, will be mentioned in the undergraduate calendar. So when in terms of streams, and if you're in the computer science program, we have a few different streams that are basically like our version of specializations. So most of these streams start in by maybe your second or third year, except for the business stream that has some first year courses and the game dev stream, which has an optional first year course. You can change your streams whenever you want, as many times as you want through Program Central, as long as you're in the honors program. If you're in the computer science major, then switch to um, you'll need to switch to the honors program first to add a stream. You can also not be in a stream if you don't want to. Um, and the only time you cannot change a stream is during the fall registration period. So you should either change it before that or wait until after. So for about a month after registration starts, I think roughly you're not able to change streams, but you can make changes after that. So the way you actually do that is again through Carleton Central. In that long list of URLs Riley showed earlier, there's one called Student Online Applications, and then something called Change Program Elements. So you're going to go over there, and then it opens up a form like the image there. So there you can select any changes you want to make. If you, for example, want to change to the major, if you want to change to honors, if you want to add any minors to your degree, if you want to change your stream, and for any other changes that it offers you to make. And then once you've selected all of that, you can submit the request, and then someone will review it, and you'll get a decision to your email within a few days. As a first year student, you cannot add a minor to your degree through Carleton Central until the fall registration period ends. So if you do want to make changes before that, you should just contact admissions directly. So yeah, when it comes to the electives that you need to take, the requirements are slightly different for each of the programs. So broadly speaking, the three categories of courses, or three or four, you have your core required courses, and then you have a list of prohibited courses that basically cannot be taken for credit in your degree. The reason being that they're usually too similar in content to your required courses, so you cannot get credit for the ones you're supposed to take and other courses that are too similar to them. So you'll find the full list on the pages linked over there. And then for electives, you have two categories. You have breadth electives and free electives. So the purpose of breadth electives is basically to encourage you to um, take courses outside of your major requirements. So in comp sci or in computer science, you pretty much cannot take uh, any comp, stat, math, cyber, sec, or data courses as breadth electives. Those will count towards your free electives. And you also cannot take courses from the Faculty of Engineering. If you go over your breadth elective requirement, then those additional courses start counting as free electives as well. And if you're a Bachelor of Cybersecurity student, you only need to take free electives. You don't have breadth electives. So in practice, breadth electives are pretty much anything outside of those subject codes listed there. So, for example, philosophy, law, film, psychology, any language courses, pretty much anything Carleton offers outside of those subjects. And free electives are pretty much any course Carleton offers except for the prohibited courses that are linked on those pages. So those can be courses outside of comp stat, maths, cybersec, or data science, or they can be courses in those subjects as well, whichever you prefer. And as a note, Bachelor of Computer Science students cannot take CSEC or data courses. They will count towards your elective credits if you transfer into the computer science program from one of the other degree programs, but they're restricted to people in the cybersec program and data science program, respectively. And you should always, again, check the undergraduate calendar for all the requirements around prerequisites and prohibited courses. Another concept is course preclusions. So when a course precludes another one, it basically means that, again, they're too similar to each other, so you cannot take both for credit. So if you've taken one, then you're not going to get credit for another course that it precludes. So for elective suggestions, first, the best advice is look at the courses that Carleton offers and try to find ones that connect to your interests. For example, I like watching movies, so I took a bunch of film courses. Maybe you want to learn language, you can see what languages Carleton offers. So yeah, you'll put in the most effort for courses you may actually enjoy versus taking courses that other students think are easy. But so yeah, try to find ones that you think you'll actually be interested in. And since we have a lot of elective credits, almost half of our degree, or a bit less than half of our degree is elective credits. You can add a minor to your degree if you want. So typically minors are 4 credits, so they will use up your elective credits, but then you can get a minor in some other field, for example, maths or statistics or anything else. So as a BCS student, you can add up to 2 program elements, which can be a combination of minors and streams. Um, and if you would potentially want to take courses while you're on co-op in the future or during the summer term, you should ideally save any fully online courses for that time, since it's easier to do those when you may not be on campus. And when you're on a co-op term, you can only take courses after 4 p.m. So again, keep any courses that are typically offered after that time. Save those for when you're on co-op or during the summer as well. Still, if you want to, if you want some recommendations for what electives are common for CS students, we've listed a few of them here. So, cognitive science, the Intro to Cognitive Science course is pretty popular, and it has some concepts that are discussed at a pretty high level. And the professor for it is pretty good, pretty interesting as well. Some of the linguistics courses are also somewhat relevant, especially when it comes to natural language processing stuff, which is related to the AI ML field. And some of the philosophy courses are have some overlap in content with some of the discrete math we take. So those can be a bit easier to take if you've already taken the discrete math courses. If you potentially are eligible for transfer credits, for example, if you took AP classes, IB classes, or a few of the other alternatives listed on the slide there, you may be eligible to get some of those credits transferred to towards your program. We've linked the page that lists out all of the Carleton course equivalents on the slide. And if you still have questions after about whether or not you can get certain credits transferred, you can reach out to admissions to confirm that. You should also get familiar with running your audit. That's another thing you'll be doing a lot throughout your degree. So that is pretty much the one place where you'll find all of the information you need about your program. So what your GPA is at any point, what requirements you have in terms of courses you need to take, the courses you have taken, the grades you got in them, and a bunch of other things. So you can do that through Carleton Central. Again, you'll find it in the list of links that Carleton Central has. And then if you, it can be pretty confusing when you run it the first time. So you can always reach out to the SES advisors to get help with understanding what your audit is saying. But it's a good idea to run it periodically, or if you're planning any program changes, then it's a good idea to see how those changes will affect your requirements. So, in the computer science or bachelor of cybersec or data science programs, all students are you have to have your own laptop to be able to take the courses. So we've listed out the minimum requirements for your laptop specifications here. Yeah, so if you're planning on reusing your current one, or if you're looking to buy a new one, you should make sure that whatever you plan to come to university with fits these requirements. And as a just to point out a few things, MacBooks are fine, Windows laptops are fine, Linux is fine, whatever you prefer, except for if you're in the game dev stream. So that has certain programs you need to run. So I believe you do need Windows for that specifically. And you do need a laptop that has a GPU in it to be able to run games. And you definitely want to avoid things like iPads, Chromebooks, smartphones, tablets, because those are not going to be able to do everything you need to do in these programs. So you want an actual laptop. And yeah, you should try and get one that has a good battery life. So you should expect to, on average, be on campus anywhere between like a couple, 2 or 3 hours per day. Or if you put a bunch of courses on the same day, you could be there for as much as 7, 8 hours or even more. So um, some lecture halls have charging outlets, some don't. So you to be on the safer side, you should get one that can ideally last at least 3 to 4 hours before you have a chance to charge it. But yeah. And so, other than everything we covered in the presentation today, our website has a resources page that has a lot of articles and FAQs about information typically relevant to course registration as well. So, feel free to go through those in your own time. You may find some questions that maybe we didn't cover as much here, or just if you want to refer to those in your own time. It's linked over there, and yeah, we'll share the slides after so you can have a look at that. We're also offering one-on-one calls with some of your students for the next couple of weeks. So starting tomorrow until um, I believe July 10th. So for the next couple of weeks, at least until first year registration is done, you're welcome to book a call with any of our upper year students based on your availability, and we're happy to give you advice to your specific situation and just walk you through any questions you have or the registration process or even just what it's like to be a student at Carleton, anything you want to talk about. All right. So now we'll move on to the student panel portion of of the presentation. So we have some questions written out in advance, but feel free to ask any questions in the chat as well, and we will either answer in the chat or we'll have the panel pick it up as a question that they can answer. So, Riley, I'll let you continue on. Oh, your mic is muted, really.
Oh, that was my bad. Okay, so before we start this panel, I just want to have a disclaimer before we start. So the advice shared here that may have worked for one person might not work for another. Everything here is subjective. And yeah, so let's start with doing introductions. So I already introduced myself, but I'm Riley. I'm fourth year Bachelor of Computer Science student, concentrating in cybersecurity. And I will get uh, Kimia to introduce herself.
All right, thank you, Riley. My name's Kimia. I am a third year now at Carleton. I am in the cybersecurity stream, so which is very nice. I have TA'd before. I TA'd the first coding class that comp sci students do take. So I did talk to a lot of first years coming into coding. A lot of them had never coded before. So if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer.
Yeah,
I also did have previous coding experience before university. However, yeah, it's not necessary whatsoever. But if there, that's kind of a different way of going into it.
yes. And I'll get Omar to introduce himself.
So I think unfortunately Omar couldn't make it today.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah. So any questions that were meant for Omar, feel free to I'll help answer those ones instead.
Okay, well, I can get started with the questions here. So, first question that comes in is, I'm a first year CS student. I'm wondering what it's like to study computer science. Is it all coding? What does your daily studying schedule look like? Is the workload heavy?
I can start on that one. So I would say what is it like to study computer science? So yeah, I guess there can be some perception that computer science is mostly just coding and you're going into these courses to learn how to program stuff, and that is definitely part of it, but that's not all of it. So a lot of computer science is theoretical stuff. So in addition to learning those programming languages and how to write software, there are a bunch of theoretical or math courses as well. Um, so discrete structures, for example, doesn't really involve any programming, but it is still relevant to computer science, and you'll be taking courses about data structures, algorithms, databases, and stuff like that as well. Um, that's so it's a good mix of theory and practical applications. Uh, in terms of my daily schedule, I think it varies a lot term by term, and like based on the courses you're taking. Sometimes courses, they have some courses may have lectures and tutorials, some may just be lectures, some may have weekly assignments, some might just be tests. So it varies a lot based on that. But on average, I think anyone should expect to most likely have a couple of lectures a day, maybe some tutorials, and then a few assignments to work on every week. So you're roughly spending altogether 30 to 40 hours on lectures, assignments, and anything else for your courses. And the workload it's definitely manageable, especially if you're, just studying full time. You don't have much else like a part-time job or any extracurriculars. Then I would say it's definitely manageable, but also everyone goes at their own pace. So, if you do think that the standard 5 courses a term workload is maybe too much for you, you can explore taking a reduced course load or reevaluate like your extracurriculars or anything you do in your free time to see how you can better balance it with your courses. But yeah, I'll let someone else share their perspective as well.
I can add on to that. In my first year, I noticed that I was taking a lot of electives. There were only 5 core courses that I had to take, and 2 of those were courses where I was actually coding, and then I took 5 electives. So I just thought it was a bit of like a learning curve to manage courses that were so different from each other. But as after your like fall term and your winter term, like you start to get the hang of it. So it's important to take electives that you actually are interested in and enjoy. Like I remember I took electives that I thought would just be easy, and I definitely struggled with those as well. But
All
yeah.
right. Yeah. So we'll go to the next question here. So the next question is, what are some electives that you recommend taking, and are there any electives you didn't enjoy? Um,
I could say something about this. I just want to like say like like kind of bounce off what Sarah said about like taking electives you genuinely do enjoy. That is like the number one um like tip for electives is doing things you actually do because not only will you like be more interested in it, which does help the course be easier, which also can help the workload, but also like you'll learn things that like you like would actually like really enjoy. And it does make the course easier because it's actually something like new as well, so something outside of comp sci. So electives you recommend, like for example, I really like cinema and film, so I'm doing a lot of electives in film or philosophy. If you like writing, if you don't like writing, you can do stats or something more math heavy in terms of electives. So overall, it's just very much personal preference what you prefer. But personal, just go whatever sounds cool or interesting or even new, because learning something new is always like really fun.
and if you're taking a minor, a lot of, well, pretty much all your minor courses will either count towards breadth or free electives, depending on what kind of course they are. So if you're, for example, I was doing a minor in music, so all of those courses counted as breadth electives for me. And plus, it's like you take your electives and you're working towards your minor at the same time, so it's a win-win.
And I can add a bit to that as well. So, yeah, I'd say try to find try to talk to upper year students if you can about electives that they enjoy taking as well, or about how certain courses are if you're considering one. So, for example, if you want to know if a certain course you're considering is a lot of writing or if it's a lot of tests and quizzes, what the class participation is like, then talking to someone that has taken the course is the best way of figuring that out. Or you could potentially find their course outlines online as well. Um, some core electives I personally did enjoy were I took a bunch of law courses and film courses in my first year and second year. It was a lot of writing, so I think that's to be expected with most non-STEM courses, since I think you'll have to write essays and stuff in a lot of them, or you'll have required readings you need to do every week. And those courses do also tend to have more class participation. They expect you to participate in the discussions going on, so that can maybe you do enjoy that, or maybe that's something you're trying to avoid. So that'll be to everyone's preference. I don't think I've taken any electives I strictly didn't enjoy, since I mostly tried to take ones that I already knew I'd be interested in the subject matter. Um, but I guess that's a risk if you do just find recommendations online, because then it's a hit or miss whether or not you'll actually enjoy the content of the elective you're taking or not.
All right. So the next question, how hard is it getting a co-op, and how can I improve my chances? I can,
Yeah, do you want to speak to
yeah,
that first?
I'll speak to that. So if you're in the co-op program, you'll start applying to co-op at the end or January of your second year. So you'll do co-op during your second summer. And Carleton's co-op program is great. So you do a course first to become eligible, and then in January you unlock the co-op board. So the co-op board is basically a bunch of internal job postings, not internal, but like companies reach out to Carleton. There's sort of a job board that you can go through and apply to. Um, and of course, it's competitive. It's not easy. Um, Especially in second year where you don't have any experience. Like getting your first co-op is going to be the hardest, of course. Like once you get your first co-op, it's easier to get the second one, and then you kind of have a good cascading effect. But for your first one, you're definitely going to have to put the work in. Like it's not something that's easy. If you have personal projects, um, you do a lot of stuff on GitHub. Like you contribute to open source stuff.
Yeah.
You have a lot of impressive personal projects. You participate in a lot of extracurriculars, especially hackathons. So hackathons are a big thing. You'll see a lot of those popping up around Ottawa. They're a great chance to get experience. But other than that, the one thing I can say is to apply to as many places as you can. And you'll hear that a lot when you're in second year and you're applying to co-op. Like the job board will have like 200 or 300, something like that, jobs. And not all of them are going to be what you want to do, but getting your first co-op would probably be your priority. So just apply to as much as you can and get as much experience as you can beforehand. Because then once you get that first co-op and you work hard, then it just gets a bit easier from there.
And just to add a few things to what Riley said, and I'll also try to comment on some of the questions people had in chat regarding what Carleton does to help students get co-ops and whether or not it's a co-op is something that you should take or if it's required. So I'll answer those questions first. So in terms of what Carleton does to help, we have a co-op 1000 course everyone has to take before they can search for their first work term, which basically covers the baseline of where to find job postings, how to write resumes and cover letters, how to prepare for interviews and stuff like that. So that establishes a pretty good baseline if you're not super familiar with job searching already. Um, and yeah, as Riley said, there's the job board with a lot of job placements available to co-op students as well. Other than that, it's really in the end, it is really up to you to kind of put in that effort to be able to secure a co-op placement for yourself, which especially in comp sci, since it's something that you can work on in your own time, compared to something like physics where you can't really do experiments at your home because you need the lab equipment. Computer science is pretty much all on your laptop, so you can do a lot of stuff in your own time as well as through courses. So there is definitely the expectation that you're putting in time outside of coursework into developing your technical skills as well. So yeah, pretty much what Riley said, go to make personal projects, have a GitHub presence, go to hackathons and stuff, and all of that increases your chances of being able to get a co-op placement. And is it required or recommended? I would say, yeah, if you're someone hoping to eventually work in the software industry as a software engineer, software developer, or an adjacent role, graduating with some work experience is pretty valuable. And again, especially in comp sci, the state of the job market right now, like anyone who does have co-op experience is going to have an advantage over someone who doesn't. So unless there's strong reasons why you're not able to take co-op, I would encourage everyone to try and do a few work terms before they graduate. And yeah, I think Riley covered everything else about co-op.
Yep. Okay. We'll go on to the next question. So, what are the best ways to connect with professors and people in the field for research opportunities?
I can start.
Yeah.
So I guess I want to cover like why you would want to do that in the first place. So you should 100% make an effort to, get to know your professors, make sure they know who you are for like a bunch of different reasons. Research is one thing. Yes, a bunch of professors conduct research at Carleton. So if you know a professor well and they're looking for a student to join them as a research assistant, or a research intern or something in the future, then you already have that connection, and that's a good way to get some relevant experience as well. Or another thing specific to comp sci, or maybe a few other programs, is we have undergraduate teaching assistants as well. So if you know an instructor well, you've taken a course with them, then you can usually just reach out to them if you're interested in being a teaching assistant for them. And that's a pretty good way of, and if they recommend you as someone they want as a teaching assistant, then you're most likely just gonna get the position. So that's another good way of getting some relevant experience and also just have some income while you're a student, since it's all on campus and you're already on campus to do your courses and stuff, so you don't need to go somewhere else for like a separate part-time job. Um, as for how you can do it, you should. most of the time it's as easy as just if your professor is someone who likes to see students participate in class, either through asking questions or answering questions, try to participate in class, or you can also just go talk to them in their office hours, one-on-one if you prefer, even if it's just to, introduce yourself, and or if you have any questions. And the CCSS has a ton of social events we run where we invite faculty members and staff members as well. So that's a pretty good way of just talking to them outside of a classroom setting, to talk about some more casual topics and just get to know them, other than their identity as a professor. So.
Yeah. So Carleton has some great programs for doing undergraduate research. So there's something called the DSRI, which stands for Dean Summer Research Intern. So if you're in first year and you're looking to get experience into research and you're looking to connect with your profs more, um, DSRI is a program where if you get at least an 80 average in your courses in first year, you'll get an email, you'll get invited. And basically what you do is you find a professor you want to do research with, you fill out an application, and if you get accepted, you get to spend the summer doing research at Carleton with that professor. iCurious is something similar, but it's open to undergraduate students of all years. Yeah, so we'll move on to the next question. So, what's the difference between each of the streams? Is one better than the others? How should I figure out which one to choose?
Do you want to start, Ron?
Yeah, I'll start. So when you're in the honors computer science program, you have your different streams. You have the cybersecurity, there's a software engineering one, um, AI machine learning, there's a couple of other ones I can't remember. Um, but how should you figure out which one to choose? So most of the stream courses don't start until third or fourth year, except for I think the business stream and the game dev stream for sure. They have an optional course in first year, which you should take. A very fun course. But in terms of trying to figure out which one to choose, what you can do initially is you can kind of test out courses. So I was initially in the game dev stream, and I took Comp 1501, which is the intro to game dev. And I took that course. I found out that maybe it wasn't for me. And so I switched streams. I switched to cybersecurity. I took the second year cybersecurity course and I really liked it. I really liked the challenge in that course. So I decided to stick with it. And I'm sure everyone's path will probably be a bit similar to that, where they try out the streams and once they find the one they like, that's the one they'll stick with.
Sarah or Kimia, do you guys want to maybe quickly talk about why you chose the streams you're in?
Yeah, absolutely. Mostly because my interest to computer science started with cybersecurity. So real like is cybersecurity. And so when I found out that Carleton had the cybersecurity stream, this was something I was really interested in going into, just because of how important it is nowadays and how like so much like information there is about it. And so like a website is more than just like a page. Like there's so many things behind the scenes. And so just because of that, that's why I went into the cybersecurity stream. However, I'm like always open to looking at other things as well. So if ever I find maybe I wasn't as interested like doing it practically, I might, I can switch streams. However, right now my main interest I believe is cybersecurity stream.
Yeah, oh yeah, sorry, you can go ahead.
Yeah, to be honest, I was like pretty interested in all of them. I wanted to try out cybersecurity first to see what it's like. Um, I also heard that like the cybersecurity job market was doing pretty well lately, so I wanted to see if that fit was right for me. But I'm really open to trying out other streams in the future and potentially switch streams. Yeah, that's why I chose cybersecurity.
Yeah, for me, I believe I started in no stream for the first couple of years. I was just focused on the core requirements. Now I kind of just jump around between them. I started in AI ML for my third year, I took a couple of the courses, realized it's not really what I'm that interested in, so I think I'll be switching to cybersecurity for my fourth year and take some of those courses. And if I decide that that's not for me either, then I don't know, maybe I'll try the game dev one just to see what it's like. But yeah, I guess you can jump around as much as you want. Um, there's no restrictions. There's also nothing saying you have to complete a stream once you switch into it. You don't need to have a stream when you graduate. It's pretty much just a way to give you a roadmap for how you can explore a different field beyond the base computer science requirements, and also gives you registration priority for some of those stream specific courses. But of course, you can take courses from other streams even if you're in one of the other streams. So the jumping around is also not that important. Um, Another thing I would so not related to this, but I'll quickly answer a question that was asked in chat earlier about how students can take summer courses. So the registration process is pretty similar to the fall and winter, but registration for those starts, I believe, around March or sometime around that. So uh, summer courses are mainly overall the same as how your fall and winter courses go. There's just a couple of differences. So the course offerings overall are much smaller, especially for your core courses. So typically for computer science, the offerings change every year, but what I've seen most commonly is the intro courses may be offered like 1405 and 1406, and then maybe one of the second year required courses as well, like 2401 or 2402. But um, it changes every year, so there's no guarantee what will or won't be offered next year. Um, and some of the courses in the summer may be early summer and late summer courses. So what you will typically take over 4 months in the fall or winter may sometimes be covered in 2 months in the summer. So you may be able to get that course done in just 2 months compared to four, but the side effect of that is that you have twice as much work to do every week. But it's usually okay because in the summer you may not be taking a full course load. You may just take one or two courses on the side. So the heavier workload for the condensed courses is usually okay. I think that's everything to cover about summer courses. So I think we can go on to the next one.
Yeah. So the next question is, I'm taking the new cybersecurity program this fall and have very little understanding of what courses I would take that separates me from just basic computer science majors. Um, yeah, so the Bachelor of Cybersecurity program is relatively new. Um, do we have actually that course map?
Yeah, I can drop the link in the
Uh,
chat again if you want.
yeah, throw it in chat because I think that's a very useful thing to show.
Here, I dropped it.
Thank you. All right, so this thing. So the Bachelor of Cybersecurity program has some courses that won't appear in the Bachelor of Computer Science program, but there is some overlap. So if you're in the cybersecurity stream in computer science, you will take basically this course, CSEC 2108 or Comp 2108. They're pretty much the same course. Um, and there's also one Comp 2109, which is required for Bachelor of Cybersecurity, but it's not required for Bachelor of Computer Science, but you can take it. Um, the the Bachelor of Cybersecurity exclusive courses come in around, yeah, third year and fourth year. So you see like CSEC 4200, like for example, this course, if we just do a quick search, we'll see this is a network security course, which you wouldn't see in the traditional Bachelor of Computer Science roadmap. You'll also see like this course. I think this one's malware. Um, this one. Yeah, so software security. Um, Here we go. Yeah, this one. So they specialize more in security once you get up to the fourth year courses. Human factors and security, that's also a required one. Operating system security sounds like a fun one. That's also required. You don't have to take that in computer science. And also this roadmap in general, I'm gonna fix that link after, but this is very useful. I recommend bookmarking this and saving it to your computer if you're in Bachelor of Cybersecurity, because it shows you a really nice roadmap of, what you should take in your first, second, and third year and fourth year, and all your required courses and all your electives. Super, super, super handy.
And
Um,
just to add a couple points to that, um, most of yeah, I like to describe it as Bachelor of Cybersec is really just a superset of the computer science program. You're taking pretty much everything you take in computer science, plus you get access to some of the more exclusive cybersecurity courses. So comparing it to the cybersecurity stream, I believe we only have 3 or 4 extra courses that we need to take, and those are accessible to anyone in the computer science program. You don't need to be in the cybersecurity stream for them. But the course is exclusive to the Bachelor of Cybersecurity. All of the CSEC courses, only cybersecurity students can take. Yep.
all right. So the next question is, what is the accelerated Z section like? Do you recommend taking it as a Bachelor of Computer Science student? And should Bachelor of Cybersecurity students know anything better to better prepare for it?
Yeah, I can pick that up. So yeah, I took the Z section in my first year as a BCS student. And if you're in the Bachelor of Cybersecurity, then I believe you're expected to take the Z section as well. So it's basically the exact same content as the normal intro courses, 1405 and 1406, except instead of covering each of them over the course of 4 months, you do each of them over 2 months. So it can be a bit jarring to, you start university and then 3 weeks in you have a midterm and then 6 weeks in you have a final exam for one of your courses. So the workload is definitely heavier, and typically it's easier if you are coming in with some previous programming experience. It's still not required since the course content starts with the fundamentals, assumes you don't know anything, but since it's going twice as fast, then um, it may be harder to grasp all of the concepts at that pace. So if you're a Bachelor of Cybersec student coming in without much programming experience, my recommendation would be to try and um, just learn some of the basic intro to CS concepts in your own time over the summer if you can, because that will better prepare you for it. Jennifer, correct me if I'm wrong, but um, if someone as a Bachelor of Cybersec student really feels unprepared to take the C section, are they allowed to take the normal sections? Yeah, so if you want to change, if you want to make changes, if you feel that since you're coming in with little to no experience, you'd prefer to take the standard sections, you can do that. But I guess the expectation or the recommended path for B cyber students, just so you can stay as a cohort, is to take the Z section if you can. Um, a benefit of taking the Z section is that at any given time, you have one less course than other students because you take, let's say, the normal Bachelor of Computer Science student is taking 5 courses, 1405, Maths 1007, and 3 electives. And then you're the Bachelor of Cybersec, and you're taking the C section plus maybe 1805, 1007, and an elective. So because 1405 is an early fall course with the C section and 1406 is a late fall course, at any given time you only have 4 courses that you're taking compared to other people taking 5 courses at a time. So that can make it a little easier. And overall, you still get 2.5 credits because you're completing the same courses, but the workload at any given time in the semester can be a bit lighter because of that. I think that's pretty much all for the C section.
Yep. And so the next question is, where can I get support if I'm struggling with my courses?
I can mention something about that one. But of course, if you ever have questions about a course, if the professor is available during after a lecture or before, even office hours are wonderful times to even either chat, or if you have any specific questions, you can even ask them during lectures. Professors a lot of times will give a period for that. Another thing is a lot of comp courses will have TAs, especially first year ones, of course. So TAs also are there to help you. So definitely be sure to use that. And there are also a lot of external opportunities to get reviewing done with others or in group settings, stuff like that. So definitely look out for those. However, there are course staff that are there to help you. So definitely, if you have any questions, no matter what, they will always be happy to help.
Yep. Cool. All right. Next question. So, what extracurriculars are available for CS students? Do you recommend investing time in them or just focusing on courses? I can start with this one. So Carleton has hundreds of clubs. During Frosh Week, the orientation week, I think there's a club expo. It might be on the Friday after. There's a club expo where you go into this giant field house and all of the clubs at Carleton are doing they have their posters up and you can kind of walk up and down the aisles and you can talk to the different clubs and you can join the clubs. There is pretty much a club for everything at Carleton. There's clubs if you like music club, probably different sports clubs. There's a lettuce eating club, so if you like, doing that. Um, in addition to clubs, there's also a lot of hackathons around Ottawa. So, especially linking back to my co-op thing and getting things for your resume, hackathons are great. At Carleton, we have our own CU hacking, which is happening next month, but it happens every year. U Ottawa, they have U Ottawa Hack, which happens every year as well. And there might be a few other ones going on. Yeah, and there's also just in general lots of conferences and events relating to computer science in Ottawa and Toronto. Um, but I actually do recommend that you spend some time with extracurriculars because just doing the degree itself probably it would not be enough. Like I think putting yourself out there is more important or just as important as just doing well in your courses. Just because, you have to meet people and make connections, participate and get experience in hackathons and that sort of thing.
Yeah, to expand on uh, courses and balancing courses and extracurriculars, I would also recommend that do your best to spend time outside of your coursework on whatever you enjoy doing outside of that. Ideally, put some of that time towards developing your technical skills through a bunch of different projects, hackathons, stuff like that. But even outside of that, if you just want to volunteer for stuff, you want to help out with a club and stuff like that, those leadership skills and transferable skills you get doing all of that is pretty valuable as well. Companies definitely value that to a certain degree, especially if you're someone coming in without much technical experience. For example, when you're looking for your first co-op placement, something that can give you an advantage is if you had those volunteering or leadership roles at some point during university or even before, because that just shows that you can work in a team with people, you can work on projects, see those through to completion, you can have an impact on something and stuff like that. So any of those extracurriculars, they help you develop skills that will be relevant to the jobs. And yeah, and comp sci specifically, it's just having the degree is pretty much a baseline expectation now. And even in terms of technical skills, the projects and assignments that you do in courses, all of the students taking those courses are doing the same projects and stuff. So those don't really help you stand out as much compared to something you do in your own free time, since look at if an employer is looking at resumes from Carleton students and sees that every single student made the same project in their second year web development course, then none of them really stand out. But if a few of those students then also have some additional stuff that they did, whether that was joining a tech club at Carleton, whether they went to a few hackathons and stuff like that, then that just helps you stand out more compared to the rest of the crowd. So definitely do well in your courses. That's still important, but make sure you're spending time outside of class doing extracurricular stuff as well.
All right. So the last question we have here is there anything first year students commonly struggle with, and do you have any advice for that? Hmm.
Anyone want to
I
start?
could I could quickly start. I'll say something quite short, if that's okay. But one thing is a lot of people do struggle with meeting friends and like meeting other people in the courses, since the courses in first year are going to be so big. They're going to be like 100 people, 200 people in those rooms, right? So, like one way that's something I've seen a lot of people struggle with, like people who come in the summer or the fall. One thing is attending events if you're able to outside of course class. Orientation week is really great. If you're participating in frosh, a lot of times you'll meet people there that you'll have throughout. Even trying to maybe talk to someone next to you in class, and if they're open to it, having like more conversations. Like you'll meet a lot of really great people. It's just like it can be very difficult to kind of start that, which is very understandable. One way I found how to like really meet new people a lot like a bit easier was going to events, self-promo, but CCSS events, but there's also a lot of other great clubs at Carleton that offer similar opportunities. But like that one thing I've heard people struggle with a lot is just meeting new people in university, which is very understandable.
I can also add on to that question. Another thing that I think is really difficult for first year students is just the jump between university to high school. The courses in university are just a lot more fast paced, and you're taking five of them. I think it's a lot easier to fall behind. So it's really important to stick to a schedule and not skip your lectures and maintain that schedule. It's definitely easier said and done, but it's extremely worth it if you hold yourself accountable. Just because of how fast the courses are, it's so easy to fall behind. Definitely go to events to make friends. I think forming study groups as well is a really good way to hold yourself accountable because you're not doing it alone. And now you and people in your program are studying together, which I think makes it a lot easier and you can bounce off of each other and ask each other questions, which I think really helps in your first year.
Riley, do you want to go next?
Um, hmm, I don't really have anything to add.
That's fair. That's fair. Jennifer, since you likely talk to a lot of students as well, is there anything you'd want to add about something you see students commonly struggling with?
Yeah, for sure. I think definitely students take a little bit of while to get used to the workload. So a lot of us probably didn't have to do a whole lot of work in high school to do fairly well. So the pace is quite a bit faster once we get to university. So just as a general rule of thumb, in case you folks haven't heard before, it's generally recommended to do a 2-to-1 study ratio. So that means for every 1 hour you're physically, in class or tutorial, you want to double that outside. So Raleigh was mentioning about having a day in his schedule where he could devote to studies outside of the classroom work. So if you folks decide to take 5 full classes, that means you're physically somewhere for 15 hours of the week. And then if you double that outside of class, it's 30. So really you are looking at a full-time work week if you're choosing to do a full schedule. So please kind of keep that in mind right when you start. The courses usually start a little bit slower and you think, oh, I'm on top of everything, but you really want to be spending that time outside of class.
Right. And I guess I'll add a couple more things. So another thing I'd point out is I would strongly encourage you to, um, within reason, try not to compare yourself too much to your fellow students since everyone goes at their own pace. I've seen people speedrunning their degree in 3 years, taking up to 7 courses a term, and I've seen people taking one course a term for to complete their degree in 8 years, and I've seen everything in between. So everyone does it at their own pace. You should do what works best for you. So I would not feel bad about, maybe someone is s- completely fine taking 5 or 6 courses a term, but you need to potentially drop down to maybe 3 or 4 courses to have a more balanced experience. That's completely fine. And again, everyone goes at their own pace, and it's just about making it work for you. Same with co-op and extracurriculars and stuff. You'll see people getting co-op placements, and maybe you don't, especially in your second year. I think in my second year, most of the people I knew unfortunately did not get a co-op placement just given the state of the job market right now. But again, just put in the effort and it will work out eventually. If you don't get one in your first job search, just try again and you will eventually make it work. At the same time, you will see it working out pretty well for people. So again, take inspiration from them. Like, get advice from them if you can, but don't beat yourself up if you're not doing as well as someone else appears to be doing. And yeah, talk to other your students and students in the same year as you as much as possible because then they have most likely done the things that you are hoping to do pretty soon. So yeah, they'll have relevant advice specific to your situation, especially if it overlaps with something you want to do. So yeah, go to events, go wherever you can to talk to people, and make sure you're spending time doing that versus just doing your courses and then going home and never doing anything outside of that. Because um, university is one of the only time you'll have as much access to meeting new people as you do now. So.
Mm. One thing you can do, and something that I do, is I take 4 courses during the term, like the fall and winter. And during the summer, I just take the courses I need to make up for that. Um, Now they don't offer too many courses in the summer, but if you're looking to fill out your electives, there's a lot of electives that you can find during the summer. If you're on a co-op term, you can take 1 course, depending. But yeah, if you can't take 5 or 6 courses, like I don't take 5 courses. I take 4, and I just do the extra one in the summer. That's totally valid, and it's actually a great way to, as long as you are aware of the courses being offered in the summer, it should be okay to do it that way.
I'll quickly answer a question and in the chat since it's maybe a bit easier to explain verbally. So, does co-op since a co-op extends the degree to 5 years, do you have to pay tuition for all 5 years? So, the way tuition works, it depends on the courses you register in for any given term. So, there's part-time. You can have either part-time status or full-time status, depending on how many courses you're taking. So if you're a part-time student, then you pay per course, or if you're a full-time student, I believe if you're taking 4 or 5 courses a term, then you just pay the flat full-time tuition rate. So how it will, if since co-op extends your degree to 5 years, if it your tuition still depends on how many study terms you do or how you distribute your courses over terms. So for example, if someone takes 5 courses a term for 8 study terms. Those study terms can be whenever, right? So you can have you can take breaks in between to do your co-op work terms instead and not take any courses there. But since you're still only doing 8 study terms, you only pay that amount of tuition. But if you then, for example, instead do 4 courses a term for 10 study terms instead, then you end up paying for 10 study terms worth of tuition because you have those 2 extra full terms where you were a full-time student. And same thing if you take courses while you're on co-op or in the summer, then you're most likely taking 1 or 2 courses at a time. So you'll be a part-time student and you'll pay the part-time tuition rate, which I don't know exactly what it is. You can find it somewhere on the websites, but I think around $1,000 or something. Um, so yeah, that's roughly how it works. Okay, Riley, do we have any other questions or?
Anything in the chat?
Yeah, I guess if there's anything that we didn't answer yet or if you want more clarification on, feel free to ask in the chat right now and we'll pick those up as well. But other than that, I think we covered everything we wanted to cover, so hopefully you found it useful. Thanks for joining, and we'll stick around for a bit more for any other questions. But
Yeah. Yes, no problem then.
and as a reminder, we'll post the slides and a link to the recording. The SCS will have it on their website. We will have it on our website, so you'll be able to access it pretty soon. Um, I would also strongly recommend that you join the CCSS Discord, since it's a good way to ask questions and just meet other people in the program. I'll send a link to the Discord here and follow us on Instagram and stuff as well, so you can keep up to date on anything else we have coming up. We usually have a lot of events as soon as school starts in September and then going throughout the year. So, well, what is the difference between each section? So for any course, you can have lectures and tutorials. So the lectures will usually have just the letter as the section, so A, B, or C, and then tutorials will have the letter plus a number, so A1, B1, C1. So you need to take the lecture and the associated tutorial. So if you take, for example, lecture section A, then you have to take tutorial section A1. You have to take both of those together. Same for B and B1 or C and C1. And the difference is just that between sections, they can be the same. The difference may just be when they're offered, like the timing may be different, the days may be different, and um, the delivery type may be different. Some of them may be in person, some may be online. Sometimes the instructors for the courses, for the sections may be different as well, even if it's the same course. So in that case, the learning outcomes for the course will still be the same overall, but the way the instructors teach the course may be slightly different. So for example, one instructor may have more of a weight on tests and exams. One may prioritize the grades for assignments more. So usually you'll find that information. You can reference past course outlines for that. I believe we linked those earlier in the presentation. Um, it's no guarantee that the courses will be the same, so you'll get the most accurate information when the course outlines come out for this year, usually when classes start or like maybe a week before for most courses. So that will have all of the information about how the course is taught in terms of mark distribution, assignment, and test schedule and stuff like that. Hopefully that answers your question. I think I'll stop the recording here.
What is the difference between a lecture and tutorial? So a lecture is the official like class schedule time where you will go in. It's usually an hour and 30 minutes long. It's where the professor does like the official course material. So you usually have for each course 2 lectures a week. So maybe on Monday and Wednesday at the same time. And it'll just be your actual course material. And the tutorials are basically an add-on to those lectures. They're basically where you go to either get extra help or go through some extra practice problems. So tutorials will most likely be run by a TA. And um, depending on what course you're in, what professor, during your tutorial time, you could be um, learning new things. You could be working on practice questions, or you could be doing a quiz. I mean, it totally depends on what kind of course you're taking. And tutorials are only usually an hour long, or if you're doing a lab is a bit different from a tutorial. But usually in computer science, you won't have any like 3 hour labs like you would in other STEM courses. But yeah, the main difference is tutorials, you probably only have them once a week compared to like the lectures. Well, for each course, you'll have them once a week. And then the lectures, you'll have like 2 lectures a week for each course, typically. Sometimes there's 3 hour lectures, which you only have once a week, but that's rare in computer science. Mm. Yeah, no worries.